When someone does you a favor, does it matter if they are also helping themselves? When a partner finally washes the dishes, or a relative moves across the country to help with childcare, the expected response is gratitude. But sometimes the feeling just refuses to arrive. Writing for The Conversation on 15 July 2026, a philosopher looks at the actual mechanics of saying thank you. The essay asks a surprisingly practical question. What separates being glad a good thing happened from actually feeling grateful to the person who did it? The answer comes down to how we choose to read their motives. Written by Mark Schroeder, professor of philosophy, USC Dornsife College of Letters, Arts, and Sciences, in The Conversation, narrated for Arva. There are few greater feelings than the sense of heartfelt gratitude to another human being who has done you a solid. Sincere thanks and reciprocation are part of the glue that binds us in human relationships. But sometimes you're just not feeling it. You know that you have benefited from what someone has done for you, but you don't really feel grateful to them for doing it. Most teenagers go through this period with their parents. Maybe you take your partner or colleague for granted. For me, 14 years ago, it was my mother-in-law. She had upended her life to move from South Dakota to California to live with my wife and me to assist with childcare after our daughter was born. No other source of childcare fit with our demanding work schedules and my commute. She made a huge sacrifice that transformed our lives, but there were moments when I really struggled to feel grateful. Since that time, I've come to devote much of my research as a philosopher to studying how the way that we interpret each other as people shapes our relationships. That work has helped me to understand why I struggle to be grateful, and taught me a little bit about how to do better. Personal gratitude. I found that the hardest part of feeling grateful to someone is the to part. It is one thing to be impersonally grateful that something happened, and another thing to be personally grateful to someone for doing it. These are not the same. Both forms of gratitude require seeing something as a benefit, and they both require a humble recognition of how easily things could have been otherwise. When the rain ends a drought, an atheist can feel grateful that the tomatoes will survive, but the atheist isn't grateful to anyone for the rain. Personal gratitude requires more than impersonal gratitude. It is an example of what the philosopher Peter Strawson calls a participant attitude, an attitude that we have toward people, but not toward things. And a large theme in my work is that participant attitudes such as gratitude involve giving someone credit for what the attitude responds to. But which benefits we give people credit for is complicated. As philosophers such as Tony Manella have argued, actions motivated primarily by money, self-interest, or insecurity don't merit personal gratitude, even when they benefit you. Actions motivated by love, generosity, or concern, on the other hand, or other pro-social motives, do. Sometimes people fail to feel gratitude because they take someone for granted, not noticing how easily they could have done otherwise. This wasn't my problem with my mother-in-law. It was obvious that she didn't have to move across the country to live with us. But it was hard to avoid noticing that she had always wanted to live in California. Sometimes it is hard to feel grateful because of how we interpret someone's motives. They could have done otherwise, but we don't think their action was really about us. Bad motives are easy to find. Sometimes ungenerous motives can help people to be generous. Your child's kindergarten teacher isn't a volunteer. They may be a naturally generous person, but still, they probably wouldn't be working with your child on spelling, arithmetic, and handling adversity if they weren't getting a paycheck. It's still appropriate to be grateful to them. Their financial incentive to show up for work enables their generosity, rather than competing with it. Elementary school teachers are not alone. After all, people's decisions are often driven by many factors, some that merit gratitude and others that don't. So if you go looking for selfish motives, you are bound to find some. Take your partner, for example. They do something that benefits you, buying you flowers, filling your tank with gas, or finally taking their turn to wash the dishes. They are partly motivated by generosity, love, or communal spirit. But as in any close relationship, sometimes they may be hoping to get something out of it. Reciprocation, maybe, or getting you off their back. It matters which of these you interpret as their true motive. Seeing it one way opens you up to gratitude, while the other precludes it.
What are true motives? The distinction between someone's true motive and the other motives that enable it looks like the distinction between causes and enabling conditions. For example, when you drop a wine glass, the fragility of the glass enables the drop to cause the break, but it isn't itself a cause of the break. The drop is. In the case of the falling glass, there's a clear, objective answer to what caused the break and what merely enabled it. But I believe that relating to people is deeply different than understanding physical things. The key question in whether to be grateful to someone isn't about which motives count as causes. It is about which cause we need to bring into focus in order to see the other person more clearly for who they are. See it their way. In other words, it's at least partly a matter of perspective. If someone does you a favor, but you know they're hoping for something in return, you can see that as their true motive. But you don't have to see it that way. Instead, you could see that motive as the condition they need for their generosity to thrive. Shifting perspectives isn't easy.
When you're doubting someone's motives, their lack of generosity can feel obvious. But it helps to remember that people tend to believe they're acting generously. If you want to respond with gratitude, try seeing them as they see themselves. What if that doesn't work? Well, the next best thing to being grateful to someone is being grateful for them. Starting there is a good way to remind yourself of why you value this relationship in the first place, and it can be enough to simply say thanks and mean it.